In this video, we're going to talk about paraphrasing and quoting from online sources. This is going to help you figure out and learn how to paraphrase what you're reading or how to embed quotes, because you don't want to just copy the whole thing. That's a ton of work. So paraphrasing and quoting from online sources when you're writing, like when you're writing a research paragraph or when you're writing something that you don't really know everything and so you have to go and look it up online, paraphrasing and quoting is perfect. It actually makes your workload so much easier. It's like a shortcut. So let's go ahead and dive in. Okay. So first of all, we're talking about paraphrasing and quoting, right? So let's just talk about quote so that we're all on the same page. A quote, when you quote something, it's the exact word for word part of an article that you decide to copy and use in your own paper to support your ideas and add credibility to the topic that you're writing about. Okay, so that's the thing. You're copying the exact word for word part of an article. Okay, so you're thinking, wait, that sounds like plagiarism. I'm not supposed to copy. Well, not really, because if you cite the source and if you give credit to the original author for where it came from, and you're just using a small part to support what you're saying, right? Like you're using it for evidence, for proof, then you're good to go. Now, you're thinking, okay, so that's a quote. What about a paraphrase? So a paraphrase, when you paraphrase something, that's when you basically reword the original quote because you want to make it clearer or because you just have a better way to say it. Okay? It's different from a summary because you're not really leaving anything out. In a summary, you stick with the main ideas and you leave out the rest. But in a paraphrase, you're keeping it the same, you're just saying it in a different way, okay? So you might think about a time when, you read something and your friend says, I just read the same thing, I don't get what it means, I don't get what it's saying, and you paraphrase it. You just put it into different words, you just explain it in a different way, but you keep all the information there, right? That's what a paraphrase is. So that's why you still have to cite the source of the information. Even if you paraphrase something, even if you take what you read somewhere and just re-explain it in your own words, it still isn't knowledge that you originally had. And so you still have to show where it came from. Like, what website did you get that information from? What book did you get it from? Right? Okay. All right. Okay, so what's really the difference between paraphrasing and summarizing? Like, isn't that just kind of summarizing? If I read something and then I explain it in a different way, isn't that just a summary? So let me show you an example. I'll show you what this looks like. Okay, this is just a random paragraph I wrote about bugs because why not? Okay, so we're going to read this together and then I'm going to show you what a paraphrase would look like and I'm going to show you what a summary would look like. All right, here we go. Read along with me. Have you ever seen quick flying bugs zapping around outside at night, glowing brightly as they zip around? Sure, most people have seen these little lightning bugs, but they aren't the only living creatures that light up at night. There are different types of bugs and worms that also glow at night. What causes the glow is that the insect or bug or worm secretes a mucus of some type as a way of communicating with other similar bugs. It's kind of gross, right? But kind of cool. The glow-in-the-dark stuff that gets secreted is a result of all kinds of things. So perhaps a way to say hello to the opposite gender, or a warning when feeling threatened, or simply a way to attract the prey of other smaller bugs to eat for food. But whatever the reason is for glowing, it's an interesting fact that lightning bugs are not the only ones with the power to light up. Okay, so that's just an example paragraph, just a random paragraph, okay? So here, I'm going to show you what it would look like to summarize. I'm only focusing on the main details, just the main details. I'm leaving out the rest. So here's the summary of this paragraph, right? It's kind of a long paragraph here, right? So here's the summary. You'll notice it's a lot shorter. Lightning bugs fly around at night and light things up, but they're not the only ones with the ability to do this. And there are lots of reasons for why certain types of bugs even have a light. Using lights could be a type of communication with other flying bugs, like a way to say hello or to attract smaller bugs to eat. So there are many types of bugs that can use lights at night, and there are many reasons why they might use them too. Okay, so that's a summary. You can look back at the original paragraph and you can see that I left out a lot of the details. Okay, I broke it down to just basically saying, yeah, lightning bugs fly around and they're the ones that are known for lighting things up at night, but they're not the only kind. Okay, that's a summary. Here's a paraphrase. Okay, here's a paraphrase. Sometimes a paraphrase can be shorter, but usually it's not going to be shorter because you're really not leaving out details. You're just saying things in a different way. So here we go. Many types of bugs and worms are active at night and light things up. The way it happens is that whether it's a bug or a worm or an insect, the light they make, there's a typo. Okay, I'm going to correct that. See, I catch my own typos too. The light they make is a result of some kind of mucus they ooze out that creates the glow. Why they need the glow is not certain. It could be to attract other bugs, or it could be used when they feel like they're in danger, or perhaps it's a way to find food. Regardless of the purpose for the light they create, there are some bugs and insects, and even worms, that can create little glowing lights when they need to. All right, so that has a lot more details in it than the summary does. And that's the main difference. Summarizing is just focusing on the main idea, right? And just a couple of the most important supporting details. But a paraphrase is where I'm really trying to say the same thing. I'm just saying it in a different way because maybe my way is better, or my way makes more sense, or something to that effect. Okay, so paraphrasing and summarizing, right? Okay. Let's watch a quick video to get another take on it. Sometimes it really helps to hear the same thing, but to hear it in a different way. All right, so here we go. We're going to watch this together. It's only a couple of minutes long.
The difference between them and when to use them. Paraphrasing and summarizing are very similar. Both involve taking ideas, words, or phrases from a source and crafting them into new sentences within your writing. So how can I determine whether to use paraphrasing or summarizing when interpreting an author's idea? Let's get to know what paraphrasing is first. To paraphrase means to express someone else's ideas into your own interpretation. It is particularly useful when you are dealing with facts and definition. So how do I paraphrase? The statement must be in your own words. If you use any phrases that are in the original quote, place them in quotation marks. Add a citation. Even if a paraphrase is in your own words, it is still someone else's idea. If you are having difficulty paraphrasing, make a short list of the quote's main ideas and words that relate to it. Incorporate these concepts and words in your own paraphrase. Now let me know what paraphrasing is. What about summarizing? When you summarize, you provide your readers with a condensed version of an author's key points. A summary can be as short as a few sentences or much longer, depending on the complexity of the text and the level of detail you wish to provide to your readers. So how do we summarize? First is to read your source until you fully understand it. Second is to write one sentence restatement of the source's main idea without looking at the source. Third is to use the text's main ideas as your summary's topic sentence. Fourth is to pull out the text's main ideas. And the last is to write the summary in your own words. Paraphrase and summary are indispensable tools in essay writing because they allow you to include other people's ideas without cluttering up your essay with quotations. They help you take greater control of your essay, so it is essential to know when and how to use them effectively.
Okay, so paraphrasing and summarizing. Now, I know that when we first started this together, right, we opened up with paraphrasing and quoting, and yet we've spent a little bit of time here together talking about paraphrasing and summarizing, but I wanted to do that because people get them mixed up all the time, and there is a time to summarize and there is a time to paraphrase. So we will talk about quoting in just a little bit, all right? Okay, so basically, should I paraphrase the information or should I just summarize it and then toss in a quote? Like, how does all that fit together? So here are just some things to think about. It's not really about the right answer. It's about you thinking of, should I paraphrase this or should I just summarize it? What would make more sense? Should I use a quote or should I not? It's about giving you options, okay? So here we go. If the author's original words are good to go, and you can't think of a better way to say it, then just go ahead and quote it. That means copy it, put quotes around it, and just make sure you mention where it came from. Like, what website did it come from? Who is the author? Okay. If the author's original words are making the point that you're trying to make, then just go ahead and quote it. Like, oh, that author is saying, like, that's the way, like, I know what I want to say, but I don't know how to say it. and then you find what someone says in an article, or they're already wording it in a much better way, then just go ahead and quote it. It's fine. Just make sure, like I said before, that you're including where it came from. Okay, how about this one? If you have a personal example or experience, and then you read an article where the author proves your point, then quote it, because that's really good proof. It's really good evidence to support something that happened to you. Okay, but don't use too many hair quotes. Use them sparingly, like hair gel. You don't want your paper or your paragraph littered up with a bunch of quotes. Like just one or two here and there is perfect. So those are ways to know when it's time to just put a quotation in there. And like I said, we'll talk about quotations a little bit later too. Okay. Again, should I paraphrase it? Should I summarize it? So here's the deal. If the author has really good information, but you can think of a better way to say it, then paraphrase it, okay? If you like the author's information, but you want to change it up and say it in a different way, then do it. But remember, even though you're not quoting it, you are still paraphrasing it, and you're keeping pretty much everything the same, which means you do need to cite the source of the information. Citing it means you're giving credit to the person who said it, even though it's not a quote, because it's not regular knowledge that you already had. It's not an experience that you already had. It's what someone else is saying, and you really like the information, you really like the way they said it. You can think of a better way to say it, but you still need to show where it came from. Okay. Let's see. All right, check out this one. This is about summarizing. You can write a brief summary of what you already know, and then you could just add in a quote from the original author. That quote is just there to support and add credibility, like add evidence to what you already wrote about, okay? So these are here to just give you options. So if you're having to write an informational paragraph or an essay, on a particular topic, you don't want to just copy the whole thing. Copying is actually a lot of work. Okay, right? Copying is a lot of work. But a lot of times it's easier to just read something and paraphrase it, or it's easier to just summarize what you read and then choose one particular line or one quote to support it. And that's fine as long as you're explaining where that information came from. It's actually a lot easier than just copying something word for word, because usually there's a much better way, a much quicker way to say it. Okay, we're going to end this video here. And then in the next video, right below this one, we're going to talk a little bit more about what a paragraph, like how to actually write a paragraph, what it would look like, and how you can do it step by step, what it has in it. So we'll see you over there in just a moment.